Hello, all. Here we are, first week of August here in North Carolina, still awaiting the House's vote on the Youth Protection Act to override the veto of the very radical hard left Democrat who is our governor here in North Carolina. That would be Roy Cooper. So this bill, the bill that the Democrats want, would stop predatory practices in healthcare of giving children altering drugs for the rest of their life, sterilization, essentially chemically, of cross-sex hormones and puberty blockers, and also prevent sex change surgeries on minors to the extent they are going on. So Democrats clearly are for that, and Republicans, we need to get on the stick and get that veto override this week or next, please. Here's what's going on as the dithering goes on in our General Assembly. ECU is building a Mecca for child sex change procedures. They want to replicate exactly what Duke University is doing. Duke University is one of the most radical child sex change treatment centers in the country. And I'll explain its history in just a moment. But let me tell you a bit more about ECU. It is a service, or a hospital service that covers 29 counties, about 1.5 million people, and it takes care of the health of all of those people. It's, a public hospital, and its mission is to improve the lives and health of all of these residents. And so instead of treating things like maybe childhood autism, which is 1 out of 35 occurrence, instead of really hyper focusing on that, for instance, or childhood diabetes or other diseases that plague children, these guys, I guess, see a profit opportunity, or maybe an ideological one, to start a Mecca for everywhere in America to look to them as the national leaders for these type of procedures. Now, we just received 22,000 more pages to add to the 38,000 that we most recently received from ECU. And I want to give a shout out again to Representative George Cleveland from Onslow County. You are the hero, sir, of the day, because you provided our team what we need to get this out to the public. We've got me, Nancy, Luke, and a few other volunteers who are combing through these documents right now to give the public a picture of really where their tax money has been going to and what the future looks like if we let this continue. So anyway, let me tell you how this child sex change stuff got started in North Carolina. So in the fall of 2015 or somewhere there around, we were having this epic battle over the bathroom bill, otherwise known as HB2. That's the technical bill. And it sought to, one of the first in the country, by the way, but it sought to keep men and boys out of girls' spaces. Common sense stuff, right? Well, right at the same time, wouldn't you know it, maybe coordinated with, maybe not, Duke came out with its very first, in North Carolina, child sex change clinic led by an activist, Deanna Adkins. Dr. Deanna Adkins can be seen at the General Assembly on a regular basis, raising hell about expanding these programs to everywhere in North Carolina. It looks like she's going to get her way, not legislatively, but otherwise. And so now the clinic, we know, because Adkins has said it on video, is treating 8-year-olds in some instances with puberty blockers. Adkins publicized a couple of times that she even sees 2-year-olds as transgender patients. They sees children through over 160 schools, thanks to our DHHS here that's partnering with those schools. So this is the kind of nuttiness that is going to be spreading to East Carolina University, not something in a rural area that anyone wants to see. This stuff is beyond the pale. So we've got that radicalism going to ECU. So let me walk you through, these are very preliminary documents that we have, but let me walk you through what ECU, in their own words, seeks to do, right? If they're not doing it now, right, they seek in the future. It looks like we put a little hitch in their get up and stopped them a little bit, or made them go underground. But I want to show you the plans, because this is the first inside look that we've had in this state of any practice like this, any hospital practice that's doing this. So let's take a look. So here's the mission of ECU and what they want to do. So they want to expand clinical services, right? And look at down here at the bottom. They want to expand the institute. This is the LGBTQ Institute, to a multi-day clinic within a year. And within 1 year of this, I think this is October of 2022, with an expected patient volume of 100 new patients a month. This is in rural North Carolina. Okay. And by the way, this is situated in a pediatric practice. Here's what they want to add. Endocrinology, that means the drugs here. Urology, that probably means some surgical stuff. And gynecology and surgery. And you're going to learn more about that surgery in just a second. So the future of gender affirming care for ECU, you can see they want to become a nationally recognized provider, okay, a player to address the gap for patient care in pediatric and adult residents in North Carolina. Guys, how many transgender kids do you think there are all in rural North Carolina? Well, we know from some of the emails that we've got, we know that they've been sitting around twiddling their thumbs and waiting for patients to come in. So I don't know that it's that big a deal. I want to reiterate, particularly in the rural areas of North Carolina, 1 in 35 children have some sort of spectrum disorder that needs to be treated. So we know this from internal people that have told us this, who are physicians, and a couple of physicians who have left that have told us that there's not enough specialists there. In fact, there may not be any specialists. And if they want to build this Mecca, okay, so let's keep going. Now we are going to see here that this is a preliminary flyer that they put together. You'll see right here, we care for patients of all ages, whether it's affirming therapy, which has been shown to lead to hormones, right? Because that's what they're doing. Gender affirming healthcare, all right? This is a part of their, look, primary healthcare, it's a part of that heading. Here we've got hormone therapy and referrals for therapy. Well, son of a gun. Okay. So now we'll see they're taking donations. They're like, oh yes, let's fund this. Let's go gangbusters, etc. Now you'll see here on the right, you've got the website. Now we look at the website here, and guess what? Nothing doing. Again, with our reporting, we were able to thwart this effort, and we're very proud of that here at Ed First Alliance. It looks like the brochures may not have been printed, may not have been disseminated, and website it up. Darn it. So now we can see too how they're going to be treating these patients. Okay. We reported a month ago or so that the physicians that are doing this, that'd be Colby Dindy and Angie Mathai, they have been trained by that wackadoodle who was featured in What is a Woman, that thought that children of all ages should take hormones like Tic Tacs, basically. So that's who trained them, and to screen children at 3 years old. 3 years old for transgenderism. It's ridiculous. But look, in the documents, we saw a slide that basically what they're doing here with this slide is they're recommending, hey, here's one screening tool that we can use. Now, if you're screening a 3 or a 4-year-old with this cute little bear and this cute little unicorn, we've seen this done in school. So this is a complete marrying. This is what we say, classroom to operating room pipeline, that they're using the same teaching tools. Why? Because in schools, they're doing direct advertising to children in schools for these services. And do not let anyone tell you that they're not doing that. Okay. They're absolutely doing that. So, just be aware of what's going on. Now, look, we've heard ECU deny, and others affiliated with them deny, that they're giving hormones to children. Now you see here in this email is from Colby Dindy. She is the head of this pediatric child sex change clinic. She's sitting here saying, look, we provide the hormones to pediatrics and adults, along providing an affirming and safe primary care for patients across the spectrum, blah, 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 blah. You see here, she's got big dreams, right? She wants to have an LGBTQ curriculum for doctors in their training. Again, should doctors be, pediatricians in particular, be doing extensive training on screening 3-year-olds for transgenderism? Probably not, particularly in rural North Carolina. There's not a lot of access there, right? There needs to be more focus on reaching the most amount of patients with quality health care. This is a waste of time and money, and it's extremely immoral. So again, ECU is reaching out to principals, to teachers and counselors through something called the Safe Zone training. So they're doing this Safe Zone training as really a marketing tool for the clinic. Here's how it works. They give them, they meaning ECU, and actually members of the clinical team, they're giving these 4-hour trainings where they are destigmatizing talking about sexuality with children. They are normalizing binary or non-binary, categories, etc. They are encouraging referrals to the clinic. So yeah, it's like, would we allow Pfizer to go in and do direct to consumer marketing when the consumers are children? No, we would not. And I believe this is the way they get around it. So let's look at this. So in this stack of stuff that we got, we also saw a presentation by Colby Dendy, and this went out to the rest of her team. Look what it says here. See, so they're focusing on these things. They're saying, look, here's a school climate. In other words, here's the case for us to be going into schools. But look, she's opining and lamenting about, gosh, nearly 1/3 of gay students were disciplined for PDA that did not result in similar action for non-LGBTQ students. Says who? Says who? Let's figure it out. Self-report? Because that's what this is, self-report. And look at this, only 2% received LGBTQ inclusive sex education in school. If abstinence is the state law, then why the hell is that even relevant? So you can see here very definitely that the clinical team and that the team at ECU, they want their hands on what's going on in the schools. Very definitely. We saw that with Duke. We'll probably see it with UNC. We'll probably see it with others that we're going to be investigating. Atrium is next on our list. So we're going to be seeing this. This is a recurring theme. Okay. It is a classroom to operating room pipeline, and we've proven it, and we will continue exposing it. So let's look at this. What they're looking to do is also include plastic surgery referral, not surgery on minors. That's clearly not the case. So look at this memo from February of this year. Primary care providers will support surgery with referrals. So in other words, if a patient, they're seeing a patient at 15, obviously we know that if they're being treated with blockers and hormones, are going to need surgery because their gonads shrivel up to the size of raisins and their other changes happen. So they need the surgery, right? So they want a clear glide path for their young patients to be able to go into surgery when they're the age of majority. Okay. So they prefer 1 year of hormones prior to surgery, a letter from them. So they're trying to get the ultimate goal is surgery. Okay. The ultimate goal is surgery. They're going to keep saying, oh, but we don't do surgery on minors. We don't do surgery on minors. And we don't have any indication that they do. But the fact that there needs to be such an enmeshment, it just underscores what we've been saying all along. This is the classroom to operating room pipeline. There's a few pit stops in between, like the conversion therapy, if you will, and the hormones. But this is the ultimate goal. And who benefits from that? Well, ECU Health, because they're making the money for it, right? Okay. And so we also learned that when they're giving the hormones, they don't know what the hell they're doing. Here's a bit of example of that. You've got Colby Dendy, who is just trained minimally, even not even specializing in pediatrics. She does a combination of med peds, but she's talking about this. Yeah, we're talking the other day about body image concerns with borderline, anorexia, eating disorder habits. And it would be interesting. It seems they have similar issues. Might be interesting to hear how they handle that while starting hormones. Maybe we could do that. Patients with borderline personality disorder, which is a kind of a character disorder, they call it, right? And who have anorexia combined are deeply ill, and they are in need of deep mental health counseling. Anorexia is life-threatening. They're already your prime. They've got body images already. They got bad body images already. They've got body dysmorphic disorder. And let's see how they will handle cross-sex hormones on top of that. Cross-sex hormones with some of the side effects is suicide ideation and mental health problems. This is dangerous, very dangerous to the children who are being treated, I believe. So let's move on. All right, so Jason Foltz, see the from right there? He's the medical director, head of the mountain, head guy over there at ECU Health, the medical director. And so this is what they're saying. The new pediatric clinic. You see, they're calling it pediatric clinic. So it wasn't Sloan Rackmith or Nancy Anderson that made that up. They're talking about it. So they need to coordinate with endo. That's for that endoscopy. That's or I believe that's endoscopy. It could be endocrine. Yeah, that's probably it. Endocrinology for peds and adults. Plans on having physicians from other clinics come to MedPeds. So they want other physicians to come on over to the Pediatric Pride Clinic. Okay. So that's something, right? Marketing plan to patients. Seems like that might be the safe zone training, right? Plans for hormonal therapy, privacy needs, ages, support services, all that. Okay. So they're planning, they're gearing it up. Now check this out. This dude, okay, Matthew Ledoux. Matthew Ledoux is the head of pediatrics at ECU Health, Brody, so Brody Medical School. And he's also the chief pediatrician over at Maynard Children's Hospital at ECU Health. So Maynard Children's Hospital, that was Vidant, and Vidant was a hospital system merged with a medical school. I believe this might be why we're seeing all of this actually, is the merging of those two systems. But he's talking about, and he's gung-ho, he's like, check this out. You know, we're going to work in progress for top surgery. Now, I'm not saying, none of us have said that they're doing this on children, but it does jar the senses that you're seeing the chief pediatrician talk about this. He's very excited. And so what's happening here is he's saying, look, I'm going to join a group, this meeting with the head surgeon, and we're going to talk about this and see if it's feasible. So you got the pediatric team gunning for that, right? And so that's the problem, right? They're not doing surgeries right now, but they're looking to be fully enmeshed. And later on, we find that at ECU Health, they do have two surgeons who are capable of doing surgical permanent sex changes. So they're doing it on adults. We don't have any say over that. But the enmeshment, the seeking enmeshment with the adult side, that's the problem. So let's move on. So they want to do more than that, guys. They want to put together a curriculum, a freaking curriculum that is going to teach pediatricians and medical doctors and rural health doctors all over North Carolina how to do this crap. That's not what we need rural health doctors to do at all. And so let's go to the next slide. And we're saying, look, you know, minors, they're saying, look, the age of consent for minors is this, you know, but I'm glad to see that they need parental consent. That's what we need to be seeing. But they're saying, look, the typical thing is we're getting patients now that have been coming to us from behavioral health, but we don't need that. In other words, we don't need for them to, someone to evaluate them to see if they've got maybe major depression, or here's what we find a lot, sadly, patients with autism who are their parents are being conned into believing that this isn't autism, this is actually gender dysphoria. And if we could just get that under control with these hormones or puberty blockers, everything would be right in the world. It's not hyperbole, it's actually happening. A lot of patients with eating disorders as well, which we saw earlier, right? We saw that. So I think that, and again, we're not even getting started yet with the reporting we're going to be doing from this, because we're going to be doing a lot. There was a bit of internal panic, if you will, over our reporting. So let me show you. We first picked up on what we thought could be a bridge between the ECU Pride Clinic that they had announced they were opening and the Safe Zone training, which, like I said, is marketing to principals and, you know, counselors, etc. So we put this up, and this was September 28th, 2022. And we said, look, is there a connection? What's going on here? It sure does seem like it, because you've got staff from this clinic coming over here and doing the training. October 11th, we followed up, and what we did was we called, we tried to make an appointment to this clinic, and we were able to do that. So, you know, we had several politicians that were saying, oh, this is not true, this is not going on. And then we had, yeah, I mean, look, people need to know. It's so shocking. People need to know. So we were able to make an appointment, but check this out, what happens. Okay, this is October 19th. And Matthew Ledoux, remember, Matthew Ledoux is the head of pediatrics. He's the guy whose dream come true would be to get top surgeries going, right? To network, right? To have this big pride clinic. This is one of his babies, if you will, for talking about pediatrics. He says scandalous articles claiming we're doing sex changes on 4-year-olds. No, I didn't. No, I said sex change treatments. If you're calling children by a name that's not theirs, by a pronoun that's not theirs, if you're referring to them as a boy when they're a girl, that is a procedure. That is a psychological procedure, and it's called social transitioning. It's recognized in every medical community, including WPATH and others. And he's already twisting the narrative. Lots of chat want to make sure there are no misperceptions. Tim Reeder told me that a pediatric resident said to him that what we are doing is horrible. I want you to understand this. This really underscores this, guys. I would say maybe 10% of doctors, probably the younger ones, are pushing this. This is so abhorrent to everyone that loves the field and has a fidelity to the Hippocratic Oath, do no harm. So most doctors are not for that. So let's move on. Okay, at the end, I think it would be important, Matt thinks it would be important if I can just get in front of these residents for about 4 or 5 minutes and just, I gotta set the record straight. And there's some controversies. Because again, we're not doing it. We're not doing it on 4-year-olds. Okay, remember, social transitioning is a sex change procedure, period, according to everyone. And what do we have here? My reporting, I just referenced this article. You got Colby Dendy, who heads the clinic. This is in the East Carolinian, still up, by the way, still up. And she said, look, this, we do this at every age, right? We do this at 4 years old. And we really want to have this clinic for all ages. That's what we want. We want a clinic for all ages. And she's even saying, providing gender affirming therapy, etc. And we're working with Duke Pediatric Endocrinology when needed. That's all true. That's all true. So we didn't, invert that, pervert that, or misrepresent that. That's from her own words. All right. So let's move on. Let's look at this slide. So Matthew Ledoux, he goes in front of the residents and he's in damage control mode. But the only problem with that is he's lying. Okay. He's saying, this must have been around Halloween. I see the pumpkin and the bat, right? But this guy is actually a witch, because he's saying, we have a small pride clinic that sees patients, they redacted it, to provide primary care and mental health resources to patients. Remember, we already have them on record saying, nah, mental health, we don't need it. Falsehoods. It's not a standalone clinic. I don't know if anyone said that. And we're not referring 4-year-olds for gender reassignment surgery. Okay, guys, this is the oldest trick in the book. Okay, some call it gaslighting, some call it whitewashing. I call it bull S, right? So what they're doing is a red herring. No one ever said gender reassignment surgery in 4-year-olds. But now from the documents, we know Dr. Ledoux, if he could do it, he might, as hard as he was pushing for top surgeries to be enmeshed in that clinic. So, little projection, maybe. Okay. And let's go, let's take this apart. It's a small clinic, etc. Well, look, they're trying to expand it to see 100 new patients every month. That's not a small that's not a small clinic. That's a big ass clinic. That is a very big clinic. And remember, if we go back, they want to become nationally recognized as a provider, okay, all over. And they want to expand the institute to a multi-day clinic with expected patients over 100. So let's remember that. So he's saying nothing to see here, no problem. And then if we look at Colby Dendy, who, look, by this time, and I got to tell you, I feel for her because this is in March of 2023. So this has been going on, our reporting, since September to now, and it's not going to stop with no end in sight. And she's going, damn it, I'm venting. The clinic exists. Stop putting out misinformation, Matthew Ledoux. At the time, Timothy Reeder. Definitely that loudmouth windbag, Henry Hinton, and others. We have a clinic. We're seeing patients. Deal with it. Deal with it. And so this is the truth behind this. So again, I want to come back and revisit this. While the House is on break or whatever's going on, and there is no veto, right? We need that veto. This Mecca is being built up to be strong. Remember, 100 new patients. 100 new patients a month is a lot. Look at their aspirations. Look at their planning. All ages, enmeshing surgery, whether it's referrals, whatever it is, right? So we need to pass this, or we need to veto this. We need a vote. We need to vote right away. People have told me, well, gosh, I'm so worried that it's going to be challenged in the courts. Fine, let it happen. Let it happen. We've got to veto this. This is absurd. This is obscene. I think you'll all agree, and it's got to stop. So we're going to be writing about this. We're going to be on this. You can count on that. So look for reports coming up. And I want you to share this with 10 people. Critically important. You got to share it with 10 people. All right. Have a good night.